All right, so let's talk about the top 5 social media platforms to actually get clients. And I have a new whiteboard, so we're going to be doing this up here. And why should you listen to me about this? Well, because I have 2 different businesses that make 7 figures per year, and they both get clients. Okay, I've also worked with tons of other businesses that get clients as well. I've gotten 4 of my students to 8 figures per year, about 16 students to 7 figures per year. Here's proof. I'll have it pop up on the screen. You can check it out. But yeah, I know a lot about getting clients. I also know a ton of other coaches and agency owners, etc., that get clients. And these are without a doubt the top 5 platforms for getting clients on social media. Now, there are going to be some people who argue with this. They think I'm wrong about this. Go ahead, comment down below. Let me know if you think I'm wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure that I'm right. Number 5 is going to be Twitter. So we're going to go from like the least good one to the best one. And I'm going to explain the nuances of each one of them because there's some that are good for certain types of businesses and certain types of clients and some that are good for other types, right? So let's talk about number 5 first. So number 5 is going to be Twitter. So put it right here, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Now, what exactly is Twitter good for? Well, it's pretty good for B2B or sophisticated clients, okay? So what exactly do I mean by that? Well, clients that are not necessarily mass market, not necessarily clients who need you to hold their attention span because they have the attention span of a goldfish. Usually clients who are either high-level employees, or they already have a business, or they are very, very serious about starting a business. They're not just like dipping their toe in. They've probably failed at a few businesses already, and they're very serious about starting it. So either B2B or sophisticated clients, okay? That's what Twitter is really good at. And I have made it up to over 30K per month on Twitter in one of my businesses. So Twitter can be really good for getting clients. I'm not lying at all about that. Now, it was a little bit better a few months back, and then for some reason, the Twitter gods decided to stop giveaways because essentially one way that you'd make money on Twitter is you'd give away something very valuable. People would comment, they'd repost, share it, and then it would reach a large amount of people. And then you could basically talk to them in the DMs after you give them the valuable thing, and then you'd be able to close a lot of them. But then they kind of brought it back, but you're really limited in the amount of people that you can talk to. So it's a little bit hard right now, right? It's not the easiest thing to do because you can't do giveaways very often because you have to only message a certain amount of people per day, right? So it's a little bit difficult. People are kind of finding ways around that though. But with that being said, it is still possible to do giveaways and do really well on Twitter. And there's also a lot of people that don't do giveaways and they still do pretty well. Now, in terms of the ceiling for Twitter, the maximum that you're going to be able to do is probably about 1 to 10 million per year on Twitter. Okay, this is the absolute max that you'd be able to do is 1 to 10 million. And you might think that's a lot, and it is a lot. That's amazing. But there are other platforms where you can do a heck of a lot more than that. Okay, so Twitter's also really great for hiring. That's one thing I absolutely love about Twitter. I've hired people off of Twitter myself, and they ended up being really, really good employees. It's really good for inbound marketing. So people kind of like messaging you. It used to be good for outbound marketing, but like I said, they've been tightening it up. And it's good for niche and mass market content. So you can do both niche and mass market content. And what I mean by that is, let's say you're selling a YouTube offer like I do. You can talk just about YouTube, or you could talk about politics and things that are, kind of related to the types of things that people that would potentially want to start a YouTube channel would be interested in, right? So you see a lot of people on Twitter talking about politics, flashing their watches, doing the lifestyle stuff and all that. And that does tend to work pretty well for a lot of them. I personally like to stick to the niche content and just talk about YouTube stuff, but you see people doing that all the time. And then it's amazing. One thing that's incredible about Twitter is it's amazing for testing out content ideas quickly and efficiently. Okay. So if you have some kind of content idea, if you have some kind of idea that pops into your head and you don't want to spend, an hour making some type of Instagram video, or maybe 30 minutes making an Instagram post, or a couple hours making a YouTube video, what you can do is you can just kind of drop the idea on Twitter in 30 seconds or a minute, and then just see what the response is. See if people like it, see if it gets a lot of likes, if it gets a lot of reach. And if it does, then you can drop that into one of your videos, maybe even make an entire video about it. And so it's really good for kind of testing out content ideas quickly and efficiently. And then Twitter also has great synergy with both YouTube and LinkedIn. So it works really well with YouTube and LinkedIn, okay? So basically what I mean by that is if you do raw authentic content specifically, what you can do is you can make a raw authentic video, upload it to YouTube, then you can natively upload it also to Twitter, not share it on Twitter, but natively upload it to Twitter. And then as long as it's less than 15 minutes, you can natively upload it to LinkedIn as well. So you basically get a 3-for-1 when you do these three. And plus, YouTube and LinkedIn are also really good for B2B/sophisticated audiences. Okay, so the synergy between Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube is excellent. And so, yeah, ceiling is $1 to $10 million a year. It's pretty good. I love Twitter. As long as you know how to use it, when it comes to actually making money, it's not quite as good as some of the other platforms, but it's good for other things like hiring, networking, and just testing out ideas. So I absolutely love Twitter. It's also great if you combine it with a good LinkedIn/YouTube strategy. So number 4 on the list. Go ahead and guess. What do you guys think it is? What do you think number 4 is? This one, I'm going to be honest with you guys. You could argue that I'm wrong. You could argue number 3 or number 4. Number 3 and number 4 are basically tied with each other. But number 4 is going to be LinkedIn. Okay? So LinkedIn is really, really good for B2B. And when I say B2B, I mean real B2B, not just B2B and a sophisticated audience kind of thing, like real B2B, like any type of B2B. We're talking if you're selling to companies that have, 1,000 to 5,000 people type B2B, not selling to a coach that has like 5 employees, right? Because that's technically B2B, but is it really B2B? That's almost still B2C. You know what I mean? So LinkedIn is good for all different types of B2B. It's good for both inbound and outbound marketing. So you can get people to message you on LinkedIn by creating content. You can also actually outbound message people. There's LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So there's a whole, just a whole world where you can get really good at outbound messaging people using LinkedIn. Paid and unpaid is really good. Paid LinkedIn ads are excellent. Unpaid, just doing outbound or waiting for inbound, making content and doing inbound it's all excellent. It's good for both niche and mass market content, but especially good for niche content. And it has great synergy with YouTube and Twitter. So again, synergy, YouTube/Twitter. And the ceiling for this one, guys, is about 10 million a year. Okay, there are people that are making about 10 million a year on LinkedIn. That's probably about the ceiling for it. But with that being said, if you're doing really high level B2B stuff, there are some companies that basically make their main acquisition strategy LinkedIn, and they hire people who have really good LinkedIn accounts, so you can actually, if you're doing like true B2B, let's say you're like a cybersecurity company and you're trying to get clients with B2B, I mean, you could technically make a lot more than 10 mil per year, but I'm assuming that most people that are watching this are probably like coaches, agency owners, consultants, that kind of thing. And so for you guys, the ceiling is probably about 10 million a year. So LinkedIn's really good. Number 3, you could argue LinkedIn is actually number 3, and I wouldn't blame you for it. But number 3 I have is Facebook. Now, a lot of people might disagree with me on this one. Facebook used to be incredible for paid ads, and now it's still really good for paid ads, but you really have to know what you're doing, right? You can't just kind of half-ass it. You really have to know what you're doing when it comes to paid ads. So it's both good for inbound and outbound marketing. It's really good for niche content. Typically, you're not going to be doing like mass market content. You're going to be doing niche content. You can't really message that many people per day on Facebook. However, there's many different ways of doing Facebook. So for instance, you can do Facebook messaging. You can do Facebook in terms of like creating like a Facebook group. You can do Facebook paid ads, et cetera, et cetera. So there's many different ways that you can do Facebook. And yeah, it's really good synergy with Instagram and TikTok. So when it comes to Facebook, the synergy is with IG slash TikTok. Okay. So why is it that they have really good synergy together? Well, first of all, Facebook is pretty good for B2B, but it's usually for smaller businesses. So it's almost like B2C because it's like small businesses with like 5 people or less employees. And Instagram and TikTok are also good for either small businesses or B2C. And basically what you can do is Facebook is technically like it's the same as Instagram essentially. So sometimes your posts can even show up on both places. But what you can do is you can basically just create short form videos on Instagram, right? Short form videos. And then you can repurpose those videos on TikTok and Facebook. You can repurpose them on TikTok and Facebook. And then you can also do the same thing with some posts as well on Instagram. So there's really good synergy with both Facebook and TikTok. And you can, the ceiling for Facebook is probably about 10 million per year. That's the ceiling for Facebook. Probably around 10 mil per year. Again, for coaches, consultants, etc. And that's technically, if you do paid ads or whatever, you could scale to more than 10 million per year. Technically, the really good use for paid ads when it comes to Facebook is actually just retargeting people. So people that have maybe attended one of your webinars, they've come to your website, they maybe even almost bought from you, but they didn't, quite make it to that last step. You can retarget them using Facebook, and it can be really, really good for that. So yeah, Facebook is really good. There's just so many different ways that you can get clients with Facebook, and that's why I had to put it as number 3. But I could understand if people want to put Facebook as number 4 and LinkedIn as number 3. Really just depends on your perspective, honestly. However, number 1 and number 2 are pretty much set in stone. There's pretty much no arguing Instagram, okay? Number 2 is Instagram. Instagram is the only platform that really rivals YouTube when it comes to getting clients. Instagram is absolutely phenomenal. It's good for like the main types of offers that are extremely good on Instagram. Even though you can do B2B, the main types of offers that are really good on Instagram are going to be B2C and biz op offers. So business opportunity type offers. So it's inbound mostly. You can do some outbound, but they restrict how many people you can talk to. But you can message about like 400 people per day that interact with your content, right? So you can message a ton of people. Whereas on Facebook, it's like 20 per day. You can only do about 20 per day, people that interact with your content. And on Instagram, it's like 400, okay? So you can message a ton of people every single day that interact with your content. So appointment setting on Instagram is phenomenal. It's really good for mass market content. Not quite as good for niche content. However, as the platform matures, it might become better for niche content. But right now, it's really, really good for mass market. And it has really good synergy with Facebook and TikTok. Really good synergy for reasons that I mentioned before. And there have been people that have gotten really good numbers. Now, Instagram used to be a little bit better. They cut down a little bit on the appointment setting. You can't quite message as many people anymore. But I did see some people get close to around $50 million a year on Instagram. They're no longer doing those kind of numbers. And now I think the best people are maybe doing around like 30 mil per year. So the ceiling is about 30 mil per year. Again, for coaches, consultants, service providers, that kind of thing. People get clients. So it's about 30 million per year is the ceiling. But Instagram is amazing. And the thing that makes it so amazing is the appointment setting. Like the appointment setting is what really sets Instagram apart from the other platforms. And it just makes it incredibly good. So Instagram is really awesome. It's my second favorite platform. I've seen a lot of people crushing it on Instagram. And the only other platform that beats Instagram is, of course, number 1, which is kind of cheating because it's not only a social media platform, but it's also a search engine, but it's YouTube. Okay? So YouTube is absolutely, without a doubt, king. There is like a 7-year-old who is making $30 million a year or something on YouTube. It's like no other platform can even come close to YouTube. It's great for both B2B and B2C, right? So it's great for both B2B and B2C. It is inbound only. Okay, so it's only good for inbound. So that's one thing that's kind of a little bit bad about it. You can't really do outbound, and that's the reason why Instagram and YouTube are kind of like the two king platforms. Okay, so you can't really do much outbound on YouTube because you can't appointment set people. Like they comment in on your video, and you can't like message them. You know what I mean? So appointment setting is much harder. You have to get them onto your email list. You have to get them into a paid, a free group, maybe a paid group as well, like a paid school group, a free group like Facebook. You could also get them into like a Telegram group. Many different ways you could message them. So a lot of people send people from YouTube to Instagram so that it's easier for appointment setting. But yeah, it's also good for both niche and mass market content. And the ceiling for YouTube, guys, especially when you add paid ads into it, which I guess technically paid ads would be outbound, especially when you add paid ads into it, the ceiling for YouTube, 100 mil per year. And this is why, guys, you see billionaires making content on YouTube. Like the All In podcast is 4 guys who are either billionaires or very close to being billionaires, and they are making content on YouTube, right? What does that tell you? That's amazing. That's incredible. When you see billionaires getting in on something, it's an incredible opportunity. So yeah, YouTube is king. There's pretty much no denying it. The only one that can even rival YouTube is Instagram. And I've gotten in a few arguments with some Instagram guys, and they make some good points. And the appointment setting on Instagram is amazing. And that's why, like, if you're going to have 2 platforms, which are your mother platforms, you want them to be YouTube and Instagram. Okay, so you really want, if you want 2 platforms as your mother platforms, you want to do YouTube and you want to do Instagram, and then all other content. You can kind of syndicate all other content to other platforms. So for instance, you could do TikTok from IG, Facebook, etc. And then from YouTube, you can do Twitter, X, and LinkedIn, right? You can do LinkedIn. Okay, so you put your time and effort into YouTube and Instagram, and then you kind of syndicate the content to these other platforms and maybe just change it up a little bit so that the format is a little more friendly to those other platforms. But you spend most of your time on YouTube and Instagram. And that is how you absolutely crush it as a coach, consultant, online service provider, agency owner, etc. And those are the best ones. Now, one I do want to give an honorable mention to. I know a lot of people hate this one. But this one would come in at number 6 on the list, and that is TikTok. So I have gone to some masterminds, and I've met some people who are absolutely crushing it on TikTok. I've met a girl and her sister that were doing 300K per month. I've met some people doing 100K per month. So, you can make somewhere between, I'd say, like 1 to 5 mil, something like that on TikTok. I just haven't seen that many people doing it. And I think a lot of people that are on TikTok are probably on the younger side. But you can still make money on TikTok, okay? I've just met way more people. Like the people that I've met that are absolutely crushing it are almost always making their money from YouTube or Instagram. And then some of them are doing like Facebook advertising as well, okay? So that's what I've just seen over and over again. The people that are absolutely crushing it are making their money in those areas. So yeah, those are the 5 best platforms. Let me know if you disagree. And by the way, if you want to work with me, I do teach people how to actually make content and grow their personal brand and get clients using social media. So you can check that out down in the description and the pinned comment below. I have some good freebies down there. You can definitely check those out. Or if you want to get on a call with me, you can do that too.